You're listening to Viking Radio, coming to you from Dream Street Studios at Del Mar College.
Hello, I'm your host, Dr. Natalie Chapa. We're here with Visit Corpus Christi CEO, Ms. Brook Kaufman. Brook, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I just want to tell everybody who's listening, though, there's a secret to this show.
Oh, God. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just think they should know that you're my boss.
Okay.
Okay, like everything is off limits or it's all on limits. I don't know, but just everybody know if I am tempered and like stoic through this conversation, it is literally because Natalie is my boss.
Okay, so.
That was going to come up.
Funny, we had decided as a group that was not going to come up today. So thank you for starting us off with that.
I think we'll just rip it. I mean, I'm like, let's just clear the air here. Like, I'm going to be on my very best behavior. And I hope we get to talk about tourism, but.
Who invited her? Best behavior. What's going on here? Okay.
Let's do it.
That is hilarious. Yes, I'm on the board. And it's amazing.
And you're my chair.
Great organization. You came in about a year ago.
Yes.
Already.
Yes. From? Rapid City, South Dakota.
Rapid City, South Dakota. Long way from home. So glad you're here.
Thank you.
There's so much going on in the space right now when it comes to tourism. And I have been blown away about how your team operates with data analysis and charting everything. Can you talk a little bit about that? So I want people to understand the sophistication of what your team does.
That's actually, thank you for that. No one's ever asked it to me that way before. So it used to be that we would just run print ads and hope for the best, and hopefully people showed up in the destination and go to it. And we're so much smarter now. So we spend quite a bit of money on capturing information of where visitors come from, how long they stay, how much they spend, where do they go when they're here, why do they come, like if creative is charting, right? So we buy all of that. How do they feel about us? How is their experience with us? And why would we do that, right? Like, why would we bother to spend the money on that? Is because we want to continue to invest in a way that drives return. So our whole goal is to drive economic impact for the city of Corpus Christi. The mechanism we do it is through tourism. So that's what I love about the thing, right? Like, people think, oh, you're the happy party planners. I'm like, yeah, it's so much more strategic than that today.
It really is. And I think, back in the day, it was more of a party planning, really focusing on events here in town, which you do. The level of sophistication that happens now in terms of how we bring visitors in has truly blown me away.
Can we talk about that too? I think there's some things that people aren't aware of that I'm finding really fascinating, that I think anybody who's a small business owner or somebody who's in the marketing space will benefit from. So one of the things that's keeping me up at night right now is Claude, right? So I'm having this torrid affair with Claude AI. I don't know. It's almost dangerous. But there's so much changing with AI and how people are travel planning, right? Okay. So it used to be, I'll read a magazine, I'll go on somebody's website and I'll order their visitor's guide, I'll see an ad.
Like, you can go on TripAdvisor and look at the comments or reviews.
So many things. Google you could bring up and it would show you airline tickets or tickets to get in, like name it. There was a zillion ways. And we tried to meet the visitor where they were in all of those channels. So that's basically the job. So then my boyfriend Claude comes along. And Claude says, I'm going to change the rules.
He's so dependable.
And I'm going to say, well, I love you enough, I'll change the rules with you. So the thing that we're now focused on is, so it used to be SEO on our website. So we would write for search, right? So that Google would find it. Well, today we're writing for, it's called GEO, and it's so that search engines will use your site as the source. So not only now are we courting visitors, we're courting AI, right? We're courting what they call LLMs or large language models with the content, so that when people are now going to Claude or Chat or Grok or name it, Gemini, that our information still comes up. So we don't want it to be, about a different destination. We don't want it to be false information, right? We want to continue to be the source for true information for visitors. So things are changing really fast in our space right now.
That makes a lot of sense. So here at the college, we're working a lot with artificial intelligence. And we've got our head of IT and some of our faculty and teams are just really focusing on how to get the students to use it in a way that is appropriate, right, and is useful. But I think they use the term garbage in, garbage out, right, Mike? And so, again, whatever goes into there is really the information. That's all it knows, and that's all it can give you back. And so you're telling me that, so y'all really focus on making sure that what goes into Claude,
Where when Claude goes out on the internet and searches for all the things that
We-
it can
Corpus
serve up
Christi
to you, we want
is
Visit
there.
Corpus Christi to be our content to be in the conversation of what gets served up.
wow, okay.
So yes, and you just said something and I forgot that I was going to address it. It was something about, what did you just say?
About our faculty with students, making sure that when they do use AI,
So let's talk about that just for, so I love that. So one of the things that we have tried to lead with first is policy. So we created with our attorney, right, the policy that guides everything that we're able to do in Claude. So I can't break Claude, but I also can't Claude won't do things that our policy won't allow. So it doesn't matter what I do from an HR perspective. We have said Claude is not available to our team that way. So instead of building all these pieces like co-work or projects or, right, there's all these things that in Claude, but we started, and I think we're one of the first agencies that I've run across that has done this, and now they're all backing it up and saying, oh, I understand why we would do that, because it sets the tone and the pace for how the tool is used.
go visit Corpus Christi. That's
accident, like literally we wouldn't, how would we have ever possibly known that, right? I'm just risk averse. And I'm like, someone should call the attorney and we should figure this out, right? So now we're sharing that policy with DMOs nationwide.
And a DMO for our audience is
Destination Management Organization.
Okay.
But all of this applies. It doesn't matter if it's the college, it doesn't matter who
Right.
and who the listener is. Like if you lead with governance of how you want the tool and what you don't want the tool to be, you're setting up probably a healthier infrastructure. So
Okay.
I'm enamored. I know we have a lot to talk about today, but
you're in love with Claude.
Claude and I have a love-hate. Next time I see you, I'll be like, Claude and I broke up.
Well,
It's all good. It's so good.
and so you've been here a year. We were talking about that earlier, and you came in at a really interesting time, I think, in the city of Corpus Christi, not just with kind of where we are in the world,
Yeah.
right, but what's happening locally.
Yeah.
And so your job, talk a little bit about what your role is as the CEO at Visit Corpus Christi, because I think some people may not really understand exactly what your role encompasses and maybe where VCC gets its funding from and its support.
Yeah, so driving economic impact through tourism. That really is, at the end of the day, we want to elevate quality of life for everybody who's here. But again, I come back to, we do that through tourism. We are funded through lodging tax. So when somebody stays in a hotel room here, they pay a 9% fee, a 9% tax to municipal. They pay a 7% tax to state. So the city of Corpus Christi on all those hotel rooms collects around $20 million a year. We get 44% of that. So the city in a contract with us says, we're going to give you $6.5 million a year, and your job is to bring business to this city.
And so to be clear, it's not money that our residents or citizens are putting in unless we stayed at a hotel.
That's right.
Right,
So-
unless we decided to do a staycation at the Omni but other than that, this is coming from people outside of the city, coming in as tourists, bringing money to our area.
Yeah, so I appreciate that clarification. I think sometimes people are like, wow, our organization only gets $100,000 out of the general
Right.
fund from the city. And I'm like, well, truthfully, we don't get money necessarily out of the general fund.
Right.
We get money out of HOT. So
Yeah, and I know from being on the board, that is a challenge here in the city. There's almost this love-hate, right, with how people feel about tourists and wanting to keep Corpus local and to keep that hometown feel, at the same time wanting to have a robust economy, being able to use our natural resources. And you said something, I was trying to write it down, the quality of our citizens through tourism, right?
quality of life.
Quality of life.
Yes, yeah. So, and I also think if we didn't have tourists, we see just over 5 million tourists a year that come through this place. So if we didn't have that volume coming through, and granted, let's be sensitive to where we really are in the world, but if we didn't have that volume, I don't think our restaurant scene would look the same, our shopping scene wouldn't look the same.
Right.
We certainly wouldn't have people making money on short-term rentals. So there's this whole thing that happens, and there's this direct impact of tourism where we, like, the hotels are in business, the tourists are paying, but think about the next layer down, or that, right, the I want to say induced, but that's yet one more layer.
Right.
So think about the people who have jobs who can then pay for their mortgage. They can send their kid to Del Mar, right? They can buy a car, they can pay for gas. It's Like it,
Right, it's a trickle.
It's such a big piece that I would say I would be hard pressed to find one person who tourism does not touch. I mean, we pay accounting firms, right? And then there's people in the hospitality. You guys offer the class. There's vendors that you buy big stoves or the equipment that's in those beautiful kitchens that you have. I mean, there's so much that makes that whole piece go around. And it's a really important part of our local economy.
It really is. And I'm glad that you're here because you also, it's challenging, right? For somebody new to come in anywhere, right? As a professional.
Yeah.
You're starting over here in the city, in the coastal bend. But you didn't grow up in South Dakota.
No, Nebraska. So always that upper Midwest.
So, but this really is like brand new space.
Listen.
And I just want to say for the record, after Claude, I think I'm a close number 2. I've been told I'm one of her favorite people.
It's true.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to brag. I'm just saying what you've told me in the past.
It's true.
So, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
and Rob's not going to be listening to this,
no,
right?
but I also think like, can we stop? 'Cause, like, let's talk about being humans for a minute. And when you move to a destination, like when you move anywhere, right? And for whoever's listening, I have a theory. So I've done this before that it takes 16 months. That's about the average to be able to finally make a friend that you would go to coffee with that's not tied to your job. So I would say it's anecdotal. I'm the one human test, but every time it feels like it takes, like that's how long it takes. And then you start building a friend infrastructure where jobs like these, and you know this, they come with infrastructure.
Right.
They come with
That
people
social,
who will need to know, you need to know them, they need to know you,
Right.
the world needs to continue to go around.
Right, but there's a difference between that and going out for dinner
Yeah.
or going for a walk.
Yeah.
You know, on the Bayfront, which you've promised
You
me.
do
and I'm
owe me.
waiting. No, you owe me. And so, but that's okay. So
I think you
anyway.
were on vacation last week, which, by the way, how was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to hang out with all 3 kids in 1 week in 1 car.
Yes, that was fun. We usually get into a huge family fight on the 3rd day, and it wasn't a big blow up like it usually is. It was more quiet, like
a subdued fight?
Yeah, subdued fight, saying horrible things in their mind. So it was great. It was great. We had a great time. Thank you
Who
for
wins the
asking.
family fights? Is it Carmen? Like your daughter?
It's a huge blow up, and then that's it. Then everybody just kind of calms down, and we act like a normal family
So
again.
no one wins.
It's really amazing. Yeah, it's very
Good.
special.
Well, welcome back. I think it's nice that so this all does tie to tourism, truthfully. So where did you go?
So we went to West Texas was the focal point. And so then there's all these little towns, right, in the mountains, in between the Chisos Mountains and the Davis Mountains. So like Alpine, Marfa, Marathon. And so we went to Alpine. That was kind of our home base.
So why did you choose there?
Because it feeds my soul, and I wanted to be one with Mother Earth. Do you want me to elaborate more on that, or is
If you want to.
that good?
I mean, I feel like it's
No.
as much as you want to share with people listening
No,
to this.
it really was amazing. And so it's just an amazing part of Texas.
Okay.
You know, it's a great place to just, again, feel kind of whole again. So I highly recommend you going.
Well, so don't move on yet. So you chose a vacation destination for a reason.
Right.
So people choose destinations all over the world for different reasons. It could be a funeral. It could be
It's
a
true.
growth, or like I'm taking my kid to college. It could be that I want to have a spiritual experience with my family. And that's why organizations like this all over the world exist, because tourism is competitive. And people choose destinations for very different reasons. Could be price, like you could go to Puerto Vallarta or you could go to
Right.
Cabo. You don't care as the person, you care about the price, right? So there's all these reasons, and I feel like that ties it so perfectly back into why we're having this conversation is if somebody like Visit Corpus Christi doesn't exist, visit wherever, then nobody's marketing the destination to make sure that it stays on the radar of people. So I love that you chose what you chose, and you chose it for whatever reason you did. But somebody somewhere makes sure that that place is known, whether it's state parks, whether it's national parks, whether it's the state of Texas. Somebody's doing something that when you live here, you know about there.
Absolutely.
And that's
Yes.
why talking about destinations and marketing, promoting, selling, pitching, PR, all of those things are so important because people have choices and they have a lot of them. We just need them to choose here.
We'll be right back.
This is where it all starts. where dreams take off and what's next becomes clear. This is Heritage Campus at Del Mar College, home to core classes in arts, sciences, and business, with upgraded facilities and faculty who provide a quality education that transfers with you wherever you're headed. This is a place of creativity, possibility, and success. A place to excel, a place to grow. This is where you belong. Learn more at dmcdreams.com.
And if you're just joining us, we're here with Miss Brook Kaufman, our president and CEO of Visit Corpus Christi. Thanks again for being here, Brook. So I want to go back to you talked about the groups of people using the data analysis. There's certain groups, and we've talked a lot about, is it the driving?
Yeah.
The driving crowd. And I'm saying that because we went to West Texas because it was drivable.
Yeah.
So it was 7 hours away. But I have to tell you, the gas was rough.
Agreed.
Like filling up and then having taking two vehicles out there, and then, going in the mountains back and forth.
Oh,
it was significant.
I spent a lot of time in Wyoming. Oil and gas is very important to me. So I want to make sure, like, wherever people are, is gas at $5.29 the other day when I paid crazy? It feels crazy to me.
It feels crazy.
Right. But I also don't know. Like, AAA always comes out with studies that say it's going to impact travel or it could impact travel. And everybody puts out data that shows, is it? And it's not slowing down. Like,
we still went.
That's right. I'm like, nothing is slowing it down. You may choose to drive 7 hours versus get on an airplane and go somewhere,
right? But
you're not going because of gas.
I think that's a really good point, because I know we've talked about the kind of higher end luxury traveler doesn't really stop, regardless,
moving.
Right? Regardless of the economy, they're going to have the means to travel.
Yep.
And so, so going back to the data that Visit Corpus Christi collects, is it San Antonio, Houston?
Yeah, so I think this will be fun for people. 80% of our visitors are from the state of Texas, but a large percentage of them, when they come in, they stay the night. So it's a funny thing here because we attract the Texans, and I always say, well, why is that? Well, the state of Texas is the size of like half of America, right? So it's really hard to drive out of Texas from here.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to me. They do stay the night with us. But yes, our top feeder market, hands down by a mile, is San Antonio. But we do get a lot of Houston, Austin. Dallas is usually top 5. Some of our out of state, we've done really well with Denver in the past. We see a lot of people in the Minnesota area. I think that's the winter Texans.
The winter Texans, okay.
So they're chasing the weather. They're probably chasing the value proposition here a little bit that time. So Louisiana, so some of that drive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the airport. I think it's a great gateway to our community. I think one of the goals is we've got to work on some more direct flights.
So I'm glad you mentioned Denver because the data really solidified the need for that, the opportunity, I think, right?
Yep.
To have that direct flight
Yep.
To and from Denver. And that's been going on, gosh, has it been a year?
I thought it was 6 months. They're here, I think, until August.
Oh, you're right. It was in March. It was spring. It was around spring break. That's right.
That's
they
right.
started. And can you talk a little bit about how that's been going and what we're seeing?
So I'm not the airport and I don't represent the airport, but last I saw, I think load factors coming into the spring were doing better. So I want to say they were around the 50%. I think that
Which is
good.
Which is decent. Yeah.
I think airlines typically look for in the 70s. Like I know that some of those chart between 70 and 80%. So I would say it's not maybe as steady or stable as some of the legacy carriers that have been here so far, but they have a lot more flights. I mean, Frontier is 2 days a week. Last I knew, right? So I don't know if it's Thursday, Sunday.
I think so. Oh, Thursday, Sunday, or Thursday, Monday.
So I think there's more opportunity. They've committed to be here through the end of their contract, so we'll see what that looks like after. A lot of stuff in the airline space is changing too with Spirit, right? So Spirit filing bankruptcy.
Yes.
Like, what does that mean for the budget traveler, right? So does that mean Frontier stays the same? Do they pick up those?
Do they pick up the flights?
Right. Or does it really come down to what destinations are flying in and out of? I think it's TBD, but it is really on the radar of people who are like, we're budget, right? We are a value-driven visitor for the most part. So does it impact us because we don't have a direct flight? Maybe not directly, but indirectly does it, right? Does Frontier capture more of the market and they can increase their price? Do they leave their price steady and their load factor increases? Like TBD. But a lot of stuff is changing.
And you know, it always amazes me when I meet visitors that that are just, and I'm like, how did you get here? So Haller Brothers, the clothing, the apparel company, had this really cool event at Docks a few weeks ago. And you could, you signed up, you got there, you got a bracelet, they had a buffet, they had open bar, and then, kid you not, tattoos. Like they had a line of Haller Brother tattoos and 2 tattoo artists that were there. And so all
like
these
real or like sticker?
Real.
No way. Why would you get to have
Yes, I have pictures.
Really?
Yes, the boys did it. It was amazing. I signed up, but I made the cutoff. I was like number 15, and they only went up to number 14.
Your boys got real tattoos at this thing.
Yeah. I'll show you pictures here in a minute.
Okay.
And so, very cool. But it was a Haller Brothers driven event, right?
Okay.
So I'm there, and of course I'm making friends because that's
what you do.
And so one was a teacher who had come up for the night just for the event. He'd never gotten a tattoo before, but for Haller Brothers.
Yep.
But there was a couple from England that was honeymooning. And they had started in Houston, and then they decided to drive down to the coast, and then they happened to be there and saw the Haller Brother event. But here we have a couple honeymooning from England, you know, on the Texas coast in Corpus.
I love that.
And again, just the most amazing people.
So I don't know where you want to take this. I think on international, we could go a lot of places, right? So typically when somebody comes international for the first or the second time, they're going to the coast. Houston is a huge gateway for international visitation, right? So it makes me wonder if they've been to the U.S. multiple times, Houston happened to be then their next, right? Or are they here because they're spending a few weeks around FIFA, right? I don't know. I mean, FIFA's still a bit, but it does make you wonder, like,
and I am curious what's going to happen with FIFA. Like, what's the kind of the overall... did you see the prices, the ticket prices?
Yes. Yeah.
We're really big into football, and I told Carmen we're going to enter like the Coca-Cola raffle, which I did this morning, by the way. I'm already getting emails from Coca-Cola like repeatedly. But
because you're like, this is the only way.
This is how we're going, babe, because it's insane. But I am kind of curious to see how FIFA kind of transforms travel across the United States.
And what we see. So I think initially people were very hopeful. And then I think on the international scale, like the visa waiver program and the visa increased fees, I think they just waived a bond fee for people coming into the country for FIFA.
Oh, okay.
Like we're not the TSA thing and now not having necessarily enough workers. Like we're just in a really tough spot with international. Canada right now is going to Europe instead of coming to the United States.
Right.
So we have a lot of work to do. And I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but a lot of work to do on the federal level to make sure that the United States is open and welcoming and that we can get visitors here, move them around and get them a great experience. And right now we're not doing that to our best
to the capacity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you and I will actually be in D.C.
We will, yeah, a couple
of weeks.
Yep, we're going to go be advocates for that.
United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
I will be there on behalf of Del Mar and higher education, but I will also be supporting you. And you are going on behalf of tourism.
Yeah. Same. Small business.
And small business.
Yes.
So again, there will be a lot of advocacy there. But I think it is, people will talk about how they're not political, but everything trickles down to us on a daily basis. And that is such a great example, how that is actually can affect our tourism here in Corpus Christi.
Yes. Yep. Or you think, oh, these things are just happening out there somewhere. And I'm like, it's not. It does impact us right here at home. So.
And so for us here at Del Mar College, I think knowing that we've got a good culinary degree and state of the art, I think Jeff and I gave you a tour.
I was like, I'm moving into Del Mar. Who gets to experience things like that at the college level? Boom. Crazy. So good. So if anybody's interested in that program, I would highly recommend a tour and checking it out.
Instructors are so passionate. We have Chef Claudia, as we like to call her, Claudia Hurt, who will be coming on. And it really just amazes me about how passionate the students become. once they're in the program. But then I think, again, with tourism, it's not just the hospitality industry. It's also marketing. You talked about marketing. I know communications is significant. I know you're trying to steal our social media specialist. Hameen is off limits.
Well, I don't know if
I
he is.
said it here on the show.
I don't know if he's off limits. We'll have to TBD. Oh, yeah. We'll circle back to that.
But again, I think there's so many, when people think of tourism.
There's a perception.
Yeah, but if you're interested in travel in that world, and I think that excitement, right, of generating that commerce through travel, you could be in accounting and work for Visit Corpus Christi, communications. I mean, you've got the gamut.
We do, but I feel like there's so many jobs in the industry, right? So people have this perception that everybody makes $14 an hour or $12 an hour cleaning rooms, and I think that they see the front line of
service
tourism.
industry. Yeah.
But then I think about all the people who spend a year or two working their way up in a hotel chain, right? So they come in maybe as the night auditor, and then they work their way up to assistant manager, and within a few years they're making $100,000 a year. Being the GM of right? And then they go regional. There's so much upward mobility in this industry. And I think that's the unfortunate part is we look at workforce and we're like, oh, we would never go after a business like that to recruit to the area. It's only, $25,000 a year jobs. And I'm like, it's not. That's not true. Like, people make real money. It's like everybody looks at McDonald's and thinks, well, you're only on the front line. You only are surely making $12 an hour, $17 an hour, whatever. And look at the people who are owning all the McDonald's.
Exactly. And for us here at the college, the bachelor's degree was really important for us to continue. So as a community college, we can offer a bachelor's degree in our area if the local university, the regional university, does not meet the demands of the workforce. And so that's a huge factor in us getting accredited. And so we do have a bachelor's degree. We have 2 bachelor's degrees now. But I think that's part of it. So as you're climbing, right, in your profession, your industry, you can continue going to school, get your associate's work, and then come back when you're ready, and you can take your online classes and get your bachelor's degree.
Well, and I feel like you guys do Del Mar is so... you're just so well positioned to be able to help people wherever they are in life. So it doesn't matter. You can be a traditional student, a non-traditional student. You could be somebody who's changing. And it feels like to me you have the professors who are really educated, progressive in the space. They're like, you're constantly pushing the envelope on things. And every time we interact with you, I'm looking at your 3D printers or how they're doing things in the shop room or what you're doing with your hospitality program. And I'm telling you, if anybody listening is even thinking about looking for an educational opportunity, if I could come back to school just to learn something that I don't know,
the 3D
I would come.
printer. I know. Isn't that amazing?
I'm like, and then they show where people I'd probably cut my hand off in a saw. They're like, you've got machines that are the size of a room.
No, it's insane.
It's so insane. So you guys just do such a good job.
I appreciate that because that really is a testament to our faculty. They are so passionate about what they do. And we have a lot of people who have retired, from industry, but they're still very relevant and they love being here. So thank you for that. And I appreciate you ending with that because people here in this room, we are very passionate about the college and what we do. But, I know Rob, our local historian here, we're very passionate about serving our community.
You are.
And I appreciate that you've come in the past year and kind of given that servant leadership of yourself to the Coastal Bend. I really do appreciate that. I'm saying that as a friend.
Same.
But thank you so much, Ms. Brook, for joining us here at the studio at Del Mar College. We appreciate your time.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Viking Radio. This show is a production of Del Mar College.